Joining me right now is the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. Governor, great to see you.
Oh, you too. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you so much for all that you've done in your efforts to secure this country and, of course, the state of Texas. Give us your sense of what this deportation program will look like and how you will be assisting President Trump in doing so.
So, listen, this is going to be a very robust deportation program by the President Trump, by Tom Homan, who's
yep.
the borders are. Listen, as you pointed out earlier, there's more than 1.4 million people who have been identified who are on the removal list. And so that's a great starting point. But I know from Homan, I know from Trump that what they really want to do is make sure that they target all of the criminals who are inside our country, which is an extraordinarily large number, posing a danger to people in the United States. Get those criminals out. And, Maria, no, we have terrorists who came across the border who are walking around our country. We have to have an urgency to identify them, target them, and deport them. But we got to do several things at the very same time. While we're working on deporting the people, we also have to be equally successful at denying illegal entry. That includes putting up the barriers and doing everything possible to prevent anybody from crossing between a port of entry. And then after that, Maria, we also have to be very aggressive, because even if we have great security of the border itself, we're going to have the cartels, the MS-13s, the Tren de Araguas that work their way into the United States. And so this is going to require ongoing vigilance by Texas, by other states, as well as by the Trump administration.
Yeah, I think this is a really important point, because while you all are preparing to, implement this deportation, we've got more people coming right now.
Exactly.
As we sit there. So Texas is reportedly planning to expand those floating buoy border barriers in anticipation of this migrant surge ahead of Trump's inauguration. Tell me what it looks like today at the border. And, you keep pushing back. I mean, the Biden administration tried to get you to remove these buoys.
Right.
And you held firm. Are they effective in keeping people out, and where are the plans going now?
So these buoys were designed by the Border Patrol because they were, in fact, effective at denying illegal entry. And they gave them to Biden to put into the river himself. And Biden said he wouldn't use them. I said, well, I'll use them. And I put them in the river. And as soon as I put them in the river, Joe Biden files a lawsuit to put a stop to it. And I told Joe Biden to stick it, that we are keeping the buoys in the river. They've remained in the river ever since then. What we're doing this morning, we are expanding those buoys in the river. They are completely effective at denying illegal entry, and a byproduct, they cost less than building a border wall, which Texas is doing also. And so this is a way to expand our protection, or preventing people from entering into the state of Texas at a lower cost.
It's just unbelievable what has happened. I don't understand what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were thinking, to have this wide open border and all these people coming in that are unvetted. And now we understand, because of this hearing of Mr. Ibarra, who reportedly, allegedly killed Laken Riley in Georgia. The only reason that he was an illegal, the reason he was in Georgia is because he was offered a paid-for flight from Biden to go to Georgia.
Yeah, by you and all the taxpayers across the country.
We paid for it.
Yeah, we paid for it. The same thing happened in Houston, Texas. We had a 12-year-old girl who was accosted, bound, raped, and murdered by Tren de Aragua. This is something that's been happening across the country. Listen, I took action on this, Maria, because I signed a law that I invoked this September, where I declared Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization. We're using every law enforcement tool in the state of Texas, where we are arresting these Tren de Aragua members, putting them behind bars, sending the message to Tren de Aragua they picked on the wrong state when they came into the state of Texas.
I was so gratified when you did that. Thank you for doing that. I mean, because walking around in New York, you're looking behind you, because they're running around all states.
Exactly.
We saw them in Colorado. They're in New York. And, of course, they're originating in Texas, coming right over the border from Venezuela. I want to get your take on these executive orders that you've issued. Governor, you issued a pair of executive orders this week to protect Texas from the Chinese Communist Party. Now, this is a subject we are all over on this program, have been for many years. This protects Texas from the CCP's espionage operation by directing all state agencies and public higher education institutions to harden state systems, safeguard critical infrastructure. The other EO combats coordinated harassment and coercion by the CCP, directing the the Texas Department of Public Safety to target and arrest any criminals executing Chinese influence operations. You've noted the possible presence of a Chinese police service station in Houston.
Right.
Tell us how the CCP has been able to infiltrate the state of Texas.
So a lot of Americans really are unaware of the extent to which China uses people operating in states to try to co-opt the states so that they will be able to infiltrate the United States even more. Espionage is just a part of it. First is coercing people who may be, let's say, in the state of Texas, who are dissidents from China. And what China tries to do to rein them in and try to get them to go back to China is to target them. And we've had people targeted under a program that's implemented by the country of China, by the CCP, targeting people in the state of Texas. And I said that we're going to arrest anybody involved in the CCP, anybody involved in this program who's going after Texans. So we got China going after people in Texas. We got China going after our intellectual property and our universities, as well as in other areas. We have China going after our power grid. Texas has by far the largest power grid in the entire United States of America. We produce more than twice the power of the second and third states in the United States. If our power grid is shut down by the CCP, it would be totally catastrophic for the country of the United States. And then, of course, we have the largest oil field in the United States, the third largest oil field in the world. And all of these things are ways in which China could pose an extreme harm on the United States of America. We must harden our assets, harden our capabilities of fighting back against China and the CCP trying to infiltrate into the state of Texas.
You have been so tough on all of the issues that matter to the American people, Governor. Again, thank you for that. Let me just get your take, though, on why we've seen no pushback whatsoever from the current administration. I mean, you're talking about fentanyl flowing through, and the underlying components are in China. You're talking about intellectual property theft for decades. You're talking about, 50,000 Chinese nationals coming through the southern border, surveillance, espionage. And yet, they're getting into our military installations as well. And yet,
Exactly.
Joe Biden did nothing about it.
Listen, Biden either doesn't know or doesn't care. Either way, it's been horrible for America. America got set back during the 4 years of the Biden administration. And that, I believe, is one reason why Donald Trump did more than win. He had a landslide victory. Americans, for one, didn't like the woke leftism, the girls and boys and girls sports.
That's right.
And the open border policies, but they also saw how America was more endangered internationally, whether it be with China, whether it be with Russia or whoever. They were asleep at the wheel on international affairs, and Donald Trump will course correct that immediately.
Now, one way that the CCP infiltrates this country, and as Mike Pompeo has said to me many times, have gotten inside the gates of America, is through universities.
Correct.
And I want to get your take on this, because some people are worried that your executive order did not include getting Texas out of the state-sponsored universities and the related institutions, the employee retirement systems, where they're holding all these Chinese stocks that are trading on our U.S. exchanges.
So we're doing two things about that. One that we're doing is we're prohibiting universities as well as state agencies from having any contract with China or any business that's connected to China.
That's big.
Whatsoever, and that's big. But if you would stay tuned to an announcement that we will make tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the requirements that we are imposing on the university investment process to make sure that we are divesting from any investment in China or any business connected with China.
There are some analysts on Wall Street who think that we're going to see legislation on a federal level once Trump gets in to actually potentially delist those companies, those stocks, because it basically has investors unwittingly or wittingly funding the expansion of our number one enemy.
Right. Well, funding that, but also just from an investment standpoint, you have to look at risks. You got financial risks, you have political risks. Both of those risks are paramount as it concerns an investment by a university, by a retirement system in a China company. There's no reason they need to make that investment. They can make a return on investment, perform their fiduciary duty by investing in American companies or in other ways across the globe.
And you're doing all of this while leading the nation in job creation.
Yeah.
Over the last 12 months, the state has added 274,000 jobs, Governor, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Earlier this week, you released the Texas Advanced Nuclear Reactor Working Group's final report on Texas's plan to build a world-leading advanced nuclear power industry. Where are the jobs in Texas right now?
Maria, the jobs are everywhere. As you kind of pointed out, Texas ranks number one for the most new jobs added of any state in the United States. And Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth is the number one real estate market in the United States of America. Houston may be the third best real estate market in the United States of America. We are expanding through semiconductors. Texas ranks number one for semiconductor production and exports for 10 years in a row. And we're adding expansions of that with Samsung, with Texas Instruments. And then you look at the financial sector. And I think you know that we've already announced the creation of the Texas Stock Exchange.
Yeah, you're going right at the New York Stock Exchange with that one.
Exactly. And that we will be getting SEC approval this coming calendar year, begin trading later on this coming calendar year. And so every sector in the state of Texas is booming. And I tell you why. It's because we have the state move at the speed of business. That's what we did with Elon Musk when he wanted to come build his Tesla gigafactory in Texas. I said, we can build that in less than 18 months with vehicles rolling off of it. And because he liked it so much, he moved all of his businesses to be headquartered in the Lone Star State.
Great work. Governor, thank you.
Of course,
Good
thank you.
Good to see you. Governor Greg Abbott. Stay with us. We'll be right back.